Do you want to choose? Yeah. Fuck, I forgot one person. Who did I forget?
Hi everyone, thanks a lot for joining us today. So, as a quick intro, RVAs, short for real world tokenized assets, could be the next 4 trillion opportunity, according to companies like McKinsey. Now, we're not really here to talk about the investment opportunities here. We're here to talk about more of the brand building and Web3 engagement elements with our experts here. In recent years, we've seen companies like YugaLabs here spring up from tokenized JPEGs to globally known, globally acclaimed companies becoming basically giants even in mainstream, even with mainstream users. So we basically would like to explore how other brands can replicate this success. So without further ado, I'd like you guys to please introduce yourselves. And I'd like to maybe ask you guys to tell us about how you first discovered tokenization, RVAs, NFTs, and what your first interaction was. Maybe we can go from this side.
Hello guys, thank you for coming here today. I'm Sena from Japan and I'm the founder of Sakebito. And probably you can guess from the name, it's about Japanese sake. We have it here. If you want to try it, come around to our booth afterwards. But we tokenize these bottles, but our concept is more towards Web 2, but using Web 3 tools as a tokenization as to make the customer's engagement better. So we are actually selling sake instead of selling NFT. But the interaction with Web3 is when you get the bottle, you can scan the chip on the bottle, so you get the digital twin of the sake. So actually target is pretty much everyone. It's about onboarding general retail customers to Web3 without telling them that they're using Web3 tools. But the experience is simply better just because there's Web3 elements. And that's what we want to achieve. And yeah, our entrance to Web3 with sake, we actually just wanted to do some membership clubs like all the other alcohol brands are actually doing. But then we discovered about tokenization a little bit later, and then I thought maybe this is actually better because we can talk about the proof of authenticity, which is really a good part of tokenization, but also loyalty programs are really easy through tokenizing. So yeah, that's what we also want to talk about today. Yeah. Thank you.
We'll definitely get back to that, please.
I'm Phil, co-founder of Captain Inu. So we're like the superhero of Web3, or even we want to be the Marvel of crypto. Big challenge, but I think there's a big gap in the market for that. So we want to do that through comics, anime, and gaming. But we're starting off with comics first, just to bring it in, introduce it to the crypto space. But that's the thing that we think that's missing in crypto. There's no, like, there's a lot of entertainment, but there's not this relatable thing where you can also put it on real world assets like, you know, toys or TV shows or merchandise. Like, there are projects doing it, but I feel like there needs to be more. And we're also a meme token, and memes don't have that at all. So we're trying to be one of the first meme tokens that includes utility like toys, gaming, action figures, anime shows, basically. So, yeah, thank you.
Hi. Is this working? Is this thing on? Is this working?
I don't think so.
I can't hear it.
Maybe take
There's 1, 2, 1,
Check 2, 1, 2. Oh, yeah. Hi, I'm Spicy, also known as Tina, depending on which side of Web3 we're on. And I'm head of community partnerships, events, all of that at YugaLabs. You know, big part of bringing forward the Made by Apes program, which I'll touch on later. And yeah, very excited to be here today. Thanks for having me. And first, getting into tokenization. I mean, before Yuga, I was working at Twitter, and you know, was really lucky to be on crypto Twitter, watching the whole Web3 NFT explosion happening. Joined into a lot of groups, but something different about the apes for me, and it's a privilege now to kind of figure out how to bring those real world assets to our holders. And yeah, that's my journey right now.
Hey guys, this is EMME from SneakerHeads. So we are basically tokenizing shoes and put them in the blockchain. Of course, one of the objectives is to create fun ways to acquire shoes, to gamify the experience. So this is what we are trying to build. So there is the infrastructure layers that we call Sneaker Cloud. This is the boring part. It's a logistic part, tokenizing real-world assets. And then there is the distribution part where the magic can happen, where we can gamify and distribute shoes in the Web3 using multiple ways, through partnership, through our own distribution platform that we call the SneakerHeads. We are developing on Blast. But our objective here is truly to tokenize collectible, tradable shoes that everybody looks for, and to propose fun ways to acquire them. So, for example, this one is from Artifact, which is a shoe that everybody knows. It's from Nike directly. And we also customize shoes. So this one we did for Blast, for the TGE, for the token generation event. So we made like a cool, unique shoes. And of course, it's tokenized, and we're gonna find a cool way to distribute them to people that love Blast and that love sneakerheads. So we are imagining like a raffle on Twitter, but also on-chain things. So yeah, that's pretty much the promise of sneakerheads, is to tokenize shoes and find good way to distribute them, to put them in the right hands.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone. So I love that we've already gotten a glimpse of how most of you guys are using tokenization, and that's something we'll be discovering more. But before that, I'd like to throw a wider question out. So in terms of brand building and marketing, what can be the main use cases of tokenization? We've obviously heard a few examples already. This is just for part of the audience who may be joining us now. Any takers, anyone who'd like to respond first?
I can go first, and I think there are two main parts. The one is authenticity, which is very important for luxury brands where there are like too many fake products. And but also second part, it's just about improving the experience. Because if you look at the traditional e-commerce shop, the relationship is really one directional. If I sell something to you and you buy, that's it. I totally forget about you. You bought it from me, you give me money, and then that's it. But with this, there's a connection. By tokenizing it, we still keep the sustainable connection between you and me. But also we can even connect you to the other buyers, which doesn't really happen these days. Even if you go, you do still see some like membership login. You just send the email address and stuff like that. But you don't really get much from that, And I feel like if someone buys the same products as me from a shop, that means we still already have the same kind of the hobby or the interest, and there should be many opportunities that these guys can get together. And in Web3, we can easily create those kind of community elements, and that could be also, I think, important through tokenization. Yeah.
That's a great response. So basically, community building is obviously an important part that can't really be solved with Web3 technologies.
No, that's one more thing. That's also not about holders making money. I think traditionally, it's all about how our token holders, how our NFT holders can make money by selling it in the future or something like that. But I think as long as the goal of Web3 project stays in users making money, we can't get away from this hype and dampen cycle. But once it's about experience, because you travel world because you want to enjoy it. You don't go to a different country to sell something, It's about experience, and everybody's looking for what is more fun to do. And if the Web3 tools can enhance the experience, there's no reason people don't join it, So I want to focus on more about creating better experience to the Web3, and I think that will actually drive the Web3 adoption to the real world.
That's a great response.
Well said.
Would anyone would like to add something to that?
Yeah, I mean, he's very right. For us, about sneakers, the cool way is like, since we can check in your wallet on the blockchain, we can know your size. What's your size? What's your favorite type of shoes? And then when we get specific shoes of your size and the shoes you like, because, for example, you're a big fan of Nike or Adidas, then we can propose you a special deal because we have only one kind of these shoes. We can identify you on the blockchain and then propose you or even give you away. So it's a way to create like new way of distribution. This is why this is what we are building, and this is how I think brands will be interested to enter in this market. It's customer. More than customers, it's aficionados identification. Who really likes your product? Who collects you? Or is it a flipper or not? This you can see everything on the blockchain directly.
So it's not just about community building, it's also about the transparency of the blockchain and basically publicly available information that adds to this.
Yeah, exactly. And even for the guys that is collecting 1,000 shoes, he likes to be identified by his peer, by his other guys. So you can identify who's who. Is it a guy talking for nothing, having only one shoe, or is it a big collector? And then it's a way for people to also, let's be honest, to brag a little bit. You have on-chain verification that you have for example, immense value collectible items and this kind of thing. So it's, I think for brands, it will be powerful in the future.
That's an excellent response. So circling a little bit back to the main question, if you do have anything else to add?
I was just thinking of like fractional tokenizations, like artworks, Picasso's or whatever, and they want to sell that, and you have, don't have enough people to buy it, you can get a group of people together, and they can fractionalize it. They can all own a piece of it together, and then with it through a DAO, they can also decide when to sell it. So, yeah, that's also part of the real-world assets that works quite well, I think, in tokenizations.
Yeah, and plus one to that. Oh, it's working. Yeah, and plus one to that, it's accessibility. It really allows people to be exposed to so many assets that they maybe, without having to carry that full financial burden on their own. So, especially for the collectors, if there's something you covet, you can share in the upside of early conviction without having to really take on that whole burden, which is awesome.
I actually love that you two guys brought up the accessibility part of it, because I recently spoke to a firm who is actually tokenizing yachts in the yacht and chartering industry. And basically, as a retail investor, you obviously can't invest in something like a yacht. But if you invest in it with 1,000 people, and then, as you said, if you have a DAO, it just creates so much more accessibility to this, or to fine art or luxury goods. Excellent. So, moving a little bit on, we've heard from the benefits of tokenization that brands can reap from accessibility to community building to authenticity. One thing I'd like to take the discussion back is the authenticity part that you mentioned, and that's also very relevant for sneakerheads, of course. Now, sakebito, if I'm saying that right? Yeah, excellent. So you guys obviously offer a tokenized blockchain record about the fact that the product is authentic. Could you maybe tell me a little bit more about how this works?
So when you scan the QR code, the NFC chip on a bottle, you can see all the details. So when it's bottled, when it's produced, when it's imported, and all this comes from actual documents of importing a certificate and stuff like that. And these we can actually put and connect to the digital twin, so you can see the whole details. And in the sake-wise, there's not much value on trading sake in a second market. So in authenticity part, maybe wine is probably a better example. I actually heard it from someone yesterday who's been in the wine industry that when they make fake wine, it's not just about faking the inside, but also they take the bottle from the good years and they fake the label and they just change the year by one and stuff like that. What will happen as well? So there are so many sophisticated ways to fake things, and when it's authenticated through a blockchain, you can easily find it. I can, as a fake wine producer, can release the NFT, but as a user, you can check who's releasing this NFT. So if you have a digital twin, it's kind of really, really difficult to just fake it. So that part is very important, I think, for especially luxury brands. Yes.
And obviously, this type of authenticity can't really be proven with paper-based records, right? Yeah, right.
No, for sneakers, authenticity is everything. Of course, what we want to provide is an alternative to StockX in the future. So you can imagine, if you take the example of StockX, how it works is someone is buying a shoes from someone else. The guy sends the shoes to StockX. StockX authenticate the shoes, send the shoe to the guy. Then the guys resell it again, send it to StockX again. StockX re-identify it. So you can imagine the volume that StockX has to authenticate shoes. So it's kind of very hard for them to have 100% authentication. While in our solution, we receive the shoes mostly from the brand directly, but we don't receive shoes from people. So we take it from brands or from people we already trust. We authenticate them one time only. Then it stays in our vault, and then you can exchange the NFTs forever. If you want the shoes, of course, you can redeem the shoes, but our supply guarantees us to have the highest degree of authenticities, because we know where the shoes come from. If it's come from the brand, of course, we're not gonna purge the authentication, but even if it's coming from, let's say, even StockX, we receive the shoes from StockX, we re-authenticate the shoes from StockX, and then it stays in our vault. And the NFT can be exchanged 10 times, 15 times, it's always the same shoes. While StockX, if the shoes is sold 10 times, they have to authenticate it 10 times. So you can imagine that it's much harder for them. It's based on big volume, and that's why there is so much fakes going on the sneakers market. But when you do it one time, you can do it well, because you know it will stay in the vault. So this is one of the things. And the second thing is, in shoes like this, in the new generation of shoes, there is a chip integrated that it's connected to an NFTs. If you buy your shoes on StockX or eBay right now, you will not receive the NFTs, because they are not Web3 native. What we do is, if you buy the shoes from SneakerHeads or from Sneaker Cloud, you don't only receive the shoes, you receive also the NFT attached to the shoes. So it's for us, it's very important to to be very clear for the brands and to offer advantages to the new generation of shoes that comes with authentications.
That was an excellent response. Any other takers? No, no worries. So moving on to the next question. Say we have probably not Web2 firms because we're NFT Fest, but say a Web2 firm hears about how you guys are employing tokenization and NFTs. It's obviously a big spring if you're a legacy firm to start dabbling with Web3 technology. But I'm wondering, what do you guys think is like the first step into exploring tokenization or just dipping your toes in the water? Obviously, in terms of brand building, in terms of offering something extra to our users, or in your case, if you want to prove the authenticity of a product, how could brands start?
Just thinking of pudgy penguins, for example. Like, they got the NFTs with a cute penguin on it, and then they expanded to having the plush toys, and they're selling that on Amazon. And like, I think most kids, when they roll up into Amazon, they look at it, they buy it, but they actually don't know they're buying a Web3 product. So it's like incognito, Web2 bridging Web3. So you're supporting the NFT at the same time, and NFT supporting the physical product. So I think that's kind of a new way for brand building, is create physical products to support your brand image, to bring it to the masses.
I think that's also part of why Pudgy Penguins performed so well during this bear market as well, because it just raised so much mainstream attention with this. Sorry if I cut you off.
No, not at all. I was just going to agree and say that I think it's about building partnerships with other, Web2, Web3 brands, just to get that name out there, get wider audiences interested in what you're building. And then other than that, it's like tools. We need to actually fix the UI. We need to make it a more frictionless process to actually use these products, because right now we're still very far from could my mom do it? We're so far. So.
But that's why it's an opportunity as well, because we are so far, we can be early. Then the mass will come.
It's true.
And we don't have, as a sneakerheads, myself, what I'm trying to do is making my projects future-proof. So everything I'm building is keeping in mind that the technology will evolve, and the account abstraction is coming. There is people way smarter than me working on these solutions. And when they come, my role as the CEO of Sneakerheads is to integrate them in our business model and in our platform. So we are building with the tools we have right now, but of course we are always looking at innovations and what can be integrated to facilitate the life of our users and to expand our user base. But for now, we are very specific about Web3. It's very complicated to use, but that's part of the fun, I guess.
So just as a bit of a follow-up question to what you two just said, would you say that basically the lack of UI or the lack of tools is the biggest issue with tokenization right now in terms of brands adopting it, or just in terms of the technology itself? What do we need first? Like, do we need better UX? What is missing?
I certainly think so. Yeah, I do think we need just a better UI, a better why, like the wallet onboarding process, storing your keys. We all know the security risks involved. It's quite difficult to explain to someone why to do that. It just sounds very overwhelming, and it's for the average person, and so it's figuring out a way to make the technology layer just kind of silent in the entire experience.
I think there's definitely some companies out there that are doing that. Like, think of one as Luxo, just making a wallet that you just log in with an email and password, but under the hood you have the seed phrase and everything linked to it. And
the big wave is coming from Telegram now.
Yeah.
In Telegram,
Huge.
you have your wallet integrated, so it's something we are looking at as I don't want to discuss too much, but yeah, we are looking at mini apps, of course, to onboard users because it's so easy to use. And there is already millions of wallets that are installed on their phone. And this is a crazy innovation that everybody should look at, because the onboarding, for me, will come from the mobile phone. It will not be from the desktop. And it will come already installed. So for me, the future of NFTs is coming from big players at the end. It's not Sneakerheads that's going to revolutionize the way we do NFTs. It will come from Sony, from PlayStation. It will come from Microsoft, Windows, and Xbox. And we come from big mobile like WhatsApp and Telegram. So you just have to wait to this guy to provide the tools.
So you think in the future, like, your phone will come pre-installed with an app that straight away already got a crypto wallet in it, integrated?
The Telegram does that. And I think Apple is looking into it, but the big step for them is the regulation point of view.
Yeah.
They don't want to go too deep in the financial because then they have antitrust antitrust issues, and the big companies, they are very scared about it. But they are all looking at it. You can see Sony is already building an exchange. They're not building an exchange for fun. They know that NFTs is coming, just a regulation point of view, and then they will be ready for the next PlayStation to put NFTs everywhere. And nowadays, when you put NFTs in FIFA or FIFA games or racing games and all of that, we're talking about $1 billion industry. And this billion industry, that's video games. I believe with NFTs can be $1 trillion industry, because when you monetize, you tokenize all the assets, all the virtual assets of the games, player will be more engaged, they will play more, they will generate revenues. And of course, if you can provide the service to to put shoes in the games, this is where the end goal is, right? You play an NBA game, and then you want the shoes of Jordan. And it's all tokenized. If you want the shoes, you can get the shoes. If you want the NFTs and keep trading on, and you want to keep it on the players, you can. That's the future.
That's kind of like what we're trying to do. We're trying to create this marvel of crypto, but we can't build that on our own. We need a community. We need the funds. We have the NFTs as well to support and raise the funds with. And by that, at the same time, the holders are supporting the future of the project. So if by holding the NFT and buying the token, they're in essence also helping to build the anime show and the game and all that. And the dream will be to have the anime show on Netflix, of course. And the niche that we are in is also very good for the Gen Z. They're really into metaverses, AI, virtual reality, and in our comic we put all those topics into it. And there's not really any shows or any comics out there that have that yet so far. So we're kind of like tapping into this new market with that.
I feel like when the traditional Web2 business comes into Web3, I still feel like they haven't caught up with the new kind of a step forward. Like, for example, logging with email. I'm a huge Formula One fan, so I check their Web3 initiatives, and I check McLaren Formula One. They have the partnership with Web3 like Tezos and OKX since 2019. And I went to the website. What they say is like, what is Web3? What is Web1, Web2, what is Web3? What's the point of Web3? How to download MetaMask? How to log into your MetaMask? Like, that shouldn't be the point anymore. Right now, you can just log in with your email. What they have to do is like, join our exclusive club, and you're going to get this and this and this. They shouldn't talk anything about NFT, because it can be all done by backend, And for example, this one as well, when you scan the NFC chip, and then when you get the token, you log in with your email, and we don't say about NFT, we don't say about digital collectible or anything. So I think we need those brands to catch up that what we are trying to solve, and sometimes feel like, for example, I saw some, the McLaren Web3 team. They were like, business degree, Cambridge University graduate, and don't come to these kind of conferences. So I don't think they also do capture what Web3 community wants, or how to actually solve the problems. Or maybe they don't even recognize this as a problem. So I think we have to advocate more and actually influence the brands. Yeah.
So what's really interesting from all the previous replies is that you guys are saying that we're already seeing the big Web3 giants like Formula One, which is a great example, already dabbling with Web3. But what Emma said earlier is basically that we're obviously seeing this Web3 movement where we're using tokenization to create brand building. So will this kind of force the hand of the Web2 firms to follow suit, like you said, that will lead to Sony integrating NFTs in FIFA? Will this become a bit of a customer expectation once it's normalized in Web3?
I think for now, the big brands and all of that, it's a reputational risk and a legal risk. They don't want the reputational risk, of course, because let's say I'm a customer, I'm collecting whatever, and I spend thousands of dollars, and then I lose my my wallet, or I get hacked. This is impossible for a listed company. They cannot take this kind of risk. But they will not be forced to go in Web3. They will come because there is a lot of money to be made, and that's it.
So they're essentially come for the money.
Yeah, because of course, if you really possess the NFTs, for example, again, I'm taking the example of gaming because it's very easy to understand, but when the smart contract give you royalties on every NFTs that is bought and sold, it's for them, it's in terms of money, it's way more engaging for the users, it's way more generating revenues, And the big advantages of NFTs that nobody talks about is it's also about the standard. It means that one day we could have like Sony, Microsoft, and all of that. There could be third-party developers building like marketplace for them outside of their ecosystem, which means like they don't have to build the financial infrastructures, and they don't want to do that because they want to stay in the entertainment, for example. But if someone built them for them and the asset is connected to these financial things, they will adopt it. And so for them, they stay in their field of competency. And with the standardization of NFTs, what allow is basically third-party developing for you solutions, which is not possible right now.
Yeah, and I would say even beyond the financial side of it is also just measuring what's working, measuring engagement, and that's something that can be done so much more easily with tokenization. You can reward your loudest advocates, and of course when people have skin in the game, when they feel like they're sharing in the upside, they're going to go out and promote things for you. They're going to, and that's, so it's like a self-sustained marketing machine, which ultimately is cost effective for the bigger brands. So I do think that kind of disruptive shift is coming. You know, it's started in some places, but it'll kind of grow in a bigger way as more of these real-world assets become available, I think.
I will add something. It's like, can you imagine if you have a similar games, but one game has NFT integrated and the another game doesn't have it? Everybody will go to the NFT integrated games because they can make money. For example, you play your Diablo games or whatever, you loot on items, and this item is only digital and doesn't have value, you cannot resell it. Of course, you will play the games that you can resell the items. It's logical. So even in terms of I mean, it has to be this way. It's mandatory. Like when it will start, everybody will have to do that. It's like proposing an offline game or online game. At some point, everybody went to some online games because if you don't propose the online games, you played the game 5 hours and then you stop. So they realized this, and with the NFTs, it's just the continuation of that. It's not only you play the game now for fun, you also generate revenues from that. So can you imagine the games that can be built in the future? Like, can you imagine the World of Warcraft with NFTs? It means that the game, you don't have to pay subscription every month, so you can generate money, and the company generate revenue as well. So they can develop the game for 10 years if they want.
Something Tina mentioned earlier, which I found really interesting, was that once people have skin in the game, I think you said it becomes this, I guess, self-feeding marketing machine. Not to put words in your mouth, but I'm asking this from you as well, and obviously from Captain Inu, because you guys are basically tokenizing memes and tokenizing culture. Both Yuga and both Captain Inu have quite a unique type of community. I'm wondering, is this partly because people have skin in the game, or is this because people are joining for the culture, for the memes, for the fun, for the community element, and then I guess becomes an avalanche of people promoting to other people? Is that basically how it works?
Yeah, I mean, definitely there is the side of people buying into Yuga assets, of course, like the Bored Ape, Mutant Apes, for the culture, the community. But apes are also builders, disproportionately so. You know, a lot of them have businesses either before joining the club or, you know, after we're inspired to do so. And so what you're seeing is, even within this club, you know, this one token gets you access to all of the information, all of the, you know, kind of community building within Made by Apes, which is the program of all the ape builders. But even beyond that, these Made by Apes brands, you know, they are offering discounts or, you know, just special services, access to things for apes, you know, whether it's like Sleep.io with the travel, you know, travel discounts, or, you know, you're talking about, you know, the disruption of how apparel is made, all of that. It's, you know, people are really benefiting from this already, this one token, and it's definitely, once you have skin in the game, you know, you're getting these discounts, you want to see apes win, because when one brand wins, you know, it's good for your bags. And so it's kind of this, yeah, self-feeding loop where, you know, if I was trying to start a brand and I wasn't already an ape, I would consider getting one just to build a business, get that built-in network, that built-in audience who's going to, you know, want to see you win, offer those discounts. So yeah, I certainly think so.
The idea is, I would add, is like, they want to see you win, but when you lose, it's more painful.
Yeah.
What about your perspective from Captain Inu's point of view? How does that type of engagement work with your holders, and what have you observed? Is that in your case also like a self-feeding marketing machine?
Well, we're still like in the development phase, So we haven't pushed it out that hard yet. So we're still building the content and everything for it. But yeah, I think it's creating that incentive for people to continue building your ecosystem. So you give the IP, like YugaLabs are doing, you can just make your own burger bar with your with your IP, and by that way you're continuing to sponsor the project, and you grow bigger, and people see that like, oh, what is that? It's like, oh yeah, I bought this Captain Inu NFT or Ape NFT, and then they research it, and then they buy one, and they start maybe making their own toy or whatever out of it, and everyone contributes that way in this ecosystem, and people like to be part of a cult, so they feel like it's family. Like at least in our project, we notice that people really love the comic. They want to see more of it. They start talking to each other and they create ideas. Yeah, you see the loyalty behind it. They want to get immersed more into the project, and they get excited about like the next releases and all that kind of stuff. So.
This loyalty part is really, really interesting that we're obviously seeing. We're also seeing this with cryptocurrencies a little bit, not just with NFTs, where if you're like a diehard Bitcoin maxi, you won't be touching anything else. So it's quite interesting, this cult type mentality that you've also mentioned. We're approaching the end of our panel. We just have a few minutes. Is there anything that perhaps the audience would like to ask us? If not, we have a lot more to discuss, but I'm just throwing that out there in case anyone would like to ask anything. Feel free to raise your hands up, shout it out. I'll take this as a no. And one more thing, I was really looking to talk to you guys. Say I have a wearables brand, or say I have a consumables brand like you do, but I'm a Web3 brand. I'm getting interested in offering something extra, offering a token, an NFT, something that could, as you guys mentioned, build a more connected community, or perhaps even unite us. Where would I really start? I know it's a big question out there to throw out there, but it's obviously such a nascent technology that this is probably what most people are still grappling with at this stage.
You're talking about, sorry.
I think it depends on like the size of your business as well. I think for us, for example, sake business is really small, but there are so much fans of Japanese products, so it's very easy to tap into that and then capture the market. But also, if you're already such a huge Web2 brand who has so much followers, you have to know how to capture those followers, I think. But when I saw this McLaren Formula 1 team did some NFT stuff, they did like a free mint, and they have 30 million followers on Instagram, and they have never ever posted anything about their Web3 initiatives. And they have 30 million followers. You can get so much value out of it. And they say they're creating it for fans, but I don't think, like a usual Web2 Formula 1 fans know anything about it. The reason I discovered about their thing is because I spent like 30 to an hour just to find it. And if you have never heard NFT or anything, you're not going to find it. I went to their Discord channel. It's just 5 people talking to each other. And and they have the free mint on OKX, and they have like 100,000 mints. But so their NFT mint has like different tiers on NFTs, and if you win the higher one, you get merch, you get tickets and stuff like that. And on a Discord channel, someone said that the crime rate is less than 1%. It's just all bots. So I feel like still they haven't caught up how to eliminate those things or how to actually capture the real fans. And feels like some of Web3 initiatives is only about, oh, let's get some, I don't know, NFTs famous, maybe you should do something. Or, oh, metaverse is trending, let's make our own metaverse. But it's not really actually capturing the real fans, but I think that should be, their focus. So, yeah, I guess, someone from the Web3 industry can definitely help a lot to these Web2 businesses as well. Yeah.
And that kind of reminds me of Hamster Combat on Ton. Like, I don't know what's going on there, but apparently it's like the biggest growing YouTube channel that's ever existed.
Like crazy numbers.
30 million in a week or
Crazy.
something mad like that.
Yeah.
I think most people don't even know what they're signing up for. And they just see the app and they're like, oh, I want to join that. And I've seen it in the comment section on Instagram. People are like, oh, can someone send me an invite? And then they're just DMing each other with invites. And people are like, yeah, what am I actually getting? He's like, oh, yeah, you might get some tokens. But they've probably never even traded crypto before. But yet they're the biggest channel ever to grow that fast. So, yeah.
just to quickly add to that, I've actually talked to Ton's director of investments, and he told me that he sees these Telegram games as the Trojan horse for mass Web3 adoption. And what's really interesting, as you also mentioned, that basically, I think Hamster Combat is over 100 million players already, and these users are getting exposed to cryptocurrency through this airdrop without actually knowing that it's crypto under the hood. Yeah. So it's quite a sneaky but an interesting way towards mainstream.
But with the numbers, we need to be careful because it's heavily bought. So,
even 10% of those numbers are staggering.
I think it's more than maybe even it's very popular, but I think the numbers they are 10 times exaggerated. But already, if there is 20 million people using new people, maybe 50 million with all the users they have, it's already huge for the blockchain industry, the NFT space. So I think everybody should look into Ton as a no, but for real, it's not about building your whole ecosystem into Ton, but it could be a gateway. So you could do like a mini hub that is very easy to use and basically advertise your ecosystem, and then you have like you push the user out of Ton. Like you want to see our real ecosystem, join us on Telegram in our group, and you will learn more about what we are really doing. So even if you have a conversion of 1%, but if you touch 10 million, 20 million people, it's way more than on crypto Twitter, where we all talk together and we are all the same person at the end. There is always the 10,000 NFT users talking to each other in PvP mode. So the thing is, I think, Telegram is a huge opportunity to bring new users and to get them interested about what you build by giving them a little bit. And I think it's a very interesting gateway for adoptions.
Anything else you wanted to add?
I mean, I pretty much touched on it already, but I would take it back. If I'm trying to start out and I'm a business, I would probably, for me, it's like Made by Apes is where I would go. You know, you have access to 500 brands. And to touch on your point about, you know, how brutal the feedback can be sometimes, that's actually, feedback is a gift, I think. You know, it's like, and what am I building? Is this actually good? You know, they'll be honest. So, you know, that's to me one of the biggest advantages and what I would do.
One final question before we have to end is just quickly asking all of you. Say we meet here in 2 years once again. Hopefully we're going to get NFT Fest then, or before. I don't know, I hope. How will brand building and tokenization look? How will tokenization adoption look? Will we see tokenization used more towards marketing? Will we see new use cases spring up? How will our conversation look in 2 years from now? Just quickly asking all of you before we finish.
You will want to start to give me idea for my answers.
I think it'll be like integrated in most web shops as well. I mean, Solana already integrated for the payment system, and underneath that, I think you'll have like token-gated websites, you know, loyalty points and all that kind of stuff.
I think a lot of partnership can happen through token-gated stuff. Let's say if you want to make some Japan-themed, because anime is, you know, very close to Japanese style and the comic as well. If you want to do some sake-themed little short story, and then if holders of that NFT wants to buy sake, then we can give a discount, or if maybe sake NFT holders can get discounts on a limited edition, things like that can be very easy through token-gated way. So this kind of partnership can maybe happen a lot easier than.
Yeah, I think in Web3 that's perfect to do actually. Like Web3 people should help out Web3 people.
I agree. It was the vision, but at the end it didn't happen too much. I feel like in Web3 because we are discussing about doing multiple verse. Partnership between projects, and at the end what you see is like a very tribalist version of the Web3. Like people, they only want to chill their communities, they only want to basically partnership with the brand that is bigger than them to just have a more market. I don't see a lot of cooperation in Web3, honestly. It could be way better than that. Like you could help a small brand like sake, if it becomes big, it will help you by doing a bottle of sake on your names. The same for the shoes, and I didn't see this type of collaboration. I was dreaming about it at the beginning of NFTs, but I need to admit that it's very tribalistic right now, and there is not too much cooperation, and this is the very bad side, I think, of NFTs that could have been improved and that could have been better. And I don't know why the founders, the big ones, they should show example, and they should try to integrate smaller projects that deserve it into their bigger ecosystem, because if the small brand, it's a loyalty between projects as well. If you help a project, then the projects become bigger and can help you as its turn. And I didn't see a lot of that, unfortunately, yet.
Tina, what about you? How do you see this playing out?
Yeah, I mean, I do see more Web2 brands getting involved, and then I honestly see it as a marketing tool, retention more than anything, and rewards, like you said, rewarding, you know, the people with the most conviction, the people who have been there that's how I see it kind of being used.
Excellent. So we were just given a few more precious minutes for one final question, which I was dying to ask you guys. This is a bit of the opposite type of question, but say I'm a brand once again, trying to dip my toes in, trying to offer a token, an NFT. What are the red flags? What's something that I shouldn't do to avoid the meltdown? You mentioned this aspect of tribalism, which is really interesting, which is definitely something that doesn't really unite the space, because at the end of the day, we're all Web3 believers, we're all NFT holders. It doesn't matter whether we're apes, podgies, crypto punks. So what would be some of the red flags? And I'll start with you, Emma.
Yeah. I think if you're a big brand, what you should avoid at all costs is to milk your community. You should avoid to have high price tag or a price tag at all. You should do free mint. You should reward your existing users, people that not deserve, but could be going into Web3 and adhere to your vision. Because if you give away something for free, then you take less risk, right, on the reputation side. Because if you start to try to make them and make them pay a very expensive price for usually a short-term vision, then you enter in a world of trouble, because then your users want some of the return back. While if you offer them, it's much more easy. And I think NFTs for big brands should be seen as a marketing tool, not as a way to make money in the short-term vision. So this is what I would do if I was advisor of a big brand.
Well, funny you said, that reminds me of Trump NFTs, actually. Like, he launched them at a price, and he's still winning the election. Like,
Yep.
didn't ruin his brand. But yeah, that's a kind of a different example, I guess.
But I feel like what NFT can help with the community building is like we can differentiate from the general like retail followers to royalty customers. Yeah. But if you price it, the people who buy it are actually the supporters of the brands. But if it's free mint, I'm gonna do it. Even if I don't follow the Louis Vuitton, I'm gonna do free mint because I might be able to sell it in the future if it's the Genesis edition. But if you did price, I'm not gonna buy it unless I'm actually supporting the brands. So I think NFT can give the hierarchy in the community. And sometimes I say it's like, I'm a huge fan of the Audi, the automotive cars. And right now, even if I have an Audi as a royalty customer, I'm still the same person as people who flip the cars to different brands. Because from the brand's perspective, I have it and they have it. But I say if it's tokenized and they know that I have that token for such a long time, or I have multiple of them, then they can differentiate through using the tokenization. So maybe I'm on the side of the getting priced, the NFTs, just to differentiate from the casual followers to royal customers to create more engagement. Yeah.
So in essence, pricing basically serves to see what type of a customer you are, whether you supported them from day one, or, and obviously an element of prestige if you've been there from day one. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and I would say a call out that I would caution or look at. First of all, it's like we don't even know how things are going to be regulated and once you take it to a global scale. But even beyond that, when you talk about the pricing and people willing to, people FOMO into things, and prices can go crazy even if you did not communicate anything around that. And so it's the question then becomes, it's kind of like I'm leaving it as a question, I'm answering a question with a question, but it's like how much responsibility does the brand have to help people navigate those prices? How much are you on the hook for something that people are willing to pay for without knowing much information? So those are the things I would just urge companies to think about, the responsibility.
So I do think we're like in this new space with this. Like, it reminds me of projects that want to partner up with clothing brands, but then the NFTs are doing good. Next week they're dumping, and then the partnership pulls out last minute because they don't want to tarnish their own brand. They don't want to print it anymore on the clothes. So it's like, yeah, we're in this weird space where we have to we have a responsibility to not mess things up in that sense.
Yeah, you have to price in the volatility.
Yeah.
So I don't want to shield sneakerheads too much, but one of the end game for us is to also not advise brands, but give basically distribute tokenized shoes for them, because we know the market, we know who gonna get interested, and of course the objective, I think, is not to sell 100,000 shoes. Is to sell maybe 1,000 shoes, but they are very collectible, very valuable, and people speak a lot about them because they are collectible. And I think brands like that, instead of trying to build the small Web3 marketing full of bullshit, they should probably work with existing projects. They know their stuff, they know how to distribute, they know who to target, and know the pricing tags of things and the timing. Everything is important. I think Web3 is hyper-specialized industry, and this is my own goal as a sneakerheads builder. I hope I can help Web2 brands of shoes to onboard in Web3 in a cool way and in a way that makes sense for everyone, including the future orders.
That was an excellent response. After speaking to you guys, one thing I'm sure of is that Web3 adoption and especially tokenization adoption from big brands will look very, very different when we resume this conversation next year or in 2 years. It was a pleasure leading this discussion with you guys. Thanks a lot. Please give a huge applause to our speakers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, can I say one word about sake? So we're doing a tasting session at the VIP place from now, right after this. We have some special sake from Japan for the tasting. So if you have time, come around to the VIP section over there, and then we'll start the tasting soon. So, yeah. Woo! See you soon.